week 7 of the fantasy football season, and here's a few quarterbacks I would bench this week. The first guy, Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals. So Joe Burrow here, it's been a pretty decent season for him, no doubt about it, in his second year and coming off ACL surgery. So the last few games for Burrow, he's cracked 20 or more fantasy points the last 3 ball games. But right here, tough matchup for him in week 7 at Baltimore. And this Raven defense, in my opinion, they're coming into their own here, especially shutting down that high-powered Charger offense in week 6. So right here, Baltimore's at home. It's a division game. You know they're going to be riled up, and I think they're going to get pressure on Burrow early and often. And let's be honest, Burrow, the last 2 out of 3 ball games, had easy matchups versus Jacksonville in week 4 and week 6 at Detroit. But right here versus this Baltimore team in Baltimore, I think it's going to be tough sledding for him. And he's only going to score anywhere from 15 to 20 fantasy points. So right here, I know it's bye weeks and stuff, but if you have better options, I will bench Burrow this week. The next quarterback I will bench is Ryan Tannehill of the Tennessee Titans. So Tannehill this season, I had big hopes for him to be one of the better quarterbacks in the top 12 this season, but that just hasn't been the case. It's been all Derrick Henry this year for this offense over there in Tennessee. And now this week, I know they got a good matchup on paper versus the Kansas City Chiefs that give up the second most fantasy points to quarterbacks this season. But I don't think Tannehill is a guy you could trust. And if he has a great game, great for him. But right now, what we've seen from him over the last 3 weeks, he's just not getting the job done, in my opinion, for fantasy owners. And he don't have a good rapport with Julio Jones, who's banged up once again, and we don't know if he's going to play. And A.J. Brown just hasn't been 100% either this season. So right here, I think versus Kansas City, it's going to be a game where they're going to run the ball to Henry no matter what, 25, 30 times in this one. And Tannehill's just going to be a game manager. So this week, I can't trust him, and I would bench him in the third and final quarterback. I will bench this week Sam Darnold of the Carolina Panthers. So Sam Darnold, he got off to a roaring start the first 4 games of the season, but the last 2 weeks now, he's come back down to earth versus better teams. Week 5 versus Philly, 177 passing yards, touchdown, 3 interceptions, and 10 yards rushing. And week 6 versus Minnesota, 207 pass yards, a touchdown, an interception, a fumble loss, 48 yards rushing, and a 2-point conversion. So this week, week 5 on paper, it's a great matchup at the New York Giants that give up the 5th most fantasy points to quarterbacks this season. But I just don't think Sam Darnold is a guy you could count on each and every week. And this week, I just got a feeling it's going to be more of a running type of game here for the Panthers, or a field goal type of contest, or the defense stepping up. So Sam Darnold, with 2 bad weeks in a row, this I don't see him having a huge game either. So that's a few quarterbacks I would bench in week 7 of the fantasy football season.